many pillows. Hey everybody, today I just wanted to sit and chat with you guys about something that is kind of a reoccurring theme in my life, and something that I think about a fair amount, and something I frankly just wanted to kind of hash out loud with someone. What I want to talk to you about today, I'm a little bit nervous. Okay. Stop saying So what I wanted to talk to you about was my experience growing up biracial. A question that I get a lot is, so what are you? To which I usually answer, I'm human. But obviously I understand what people are actually asking me, and they want to know what my ethnic background is. So just to clear things up, I am half black and half white. Almost exactly half black and half white. My husband actually got me a DNA kit. So I spit in the little tube and I sent it away, and my results came back, and I am African, from a couple different places in Africa, mostly on the coast, and European, which is mostly made up of Scandinavian and Great Britain. There's some Irish in there, and a little bit of Western Europe, so Belgium and Germany and France. So that was really interesting to find out, because I grew up most of my life thinking that I was half black and half German, and it turns out that I actually don't have too much German in my DNA. The reason that I really had no idea what kind of my mix was is because I am also adopted. I thought about making two different videos here, one talking about growing up biracial and one talking about growing up adopted, but they're so intertwined for me that I thought I would just talk about both of them at the same time. I was adopted by my parents at 2 days old, so very quickly. I didn't go to a foster home or anything in between, and both of my parents are white. I have two older siblings who are biological to my adopted parents, so they are both white, and I have an older sister who is also adopted and a younger sister who is also adopted, and they are both mixed race black. My adoption and being biracial was always really celebrated within my immediate family, which I think is really great. Obviously my parents never lied to me about the fact that I was adopted. They couldn't. But not only that, they also, you know, all three of us who were adopted, we got to celebrate our adoption day, which is the day that our adoption became official. And we would get a box of candy, and it was, you know, for years it was just celebrated, and it was always presented to me as a really cool thing. I did have some trouble when I got to elementary school. There weren't that many kids who were kind of actively teasing me about it, but there were a lot of kids who were saying, that's weird. I think everyone, to a certain extent, spends their lives kind of navigating this whole, where do I belong? I wonder, I feel like it's possible that my kind of struggle with that and my experience with that is heightened because I am adopted, and because I am biracial, I belong to two different worlds, and I feel like I don't necessarily perfectly fit in either one of them. I don't know, is that super narcissistic? But I do feel that way. I feel like a lot of my life and a lot of my time has been spent figuring out where I belong. And I think maybe that's why theater was so attractive to me, because it was just a group of weirdos, and people who were different and unique are, for the most part, celebrated. Being biracial is interesting, kind of on just a general day-to-day basis. Like I said, I got a lot of, what are you? I also get kind of some weird, I'm gonna say unintentionally racist things that occur, especially growing up. I remember growing up, I got a lot of people calling me Oreo. I don't know, I mean, Oreos are delicious. I had a lot of people who I would tell them I was half black, and they'd say, no, you're not. I guess, as terrible as this sounds, it's because I kind of read white. I hate that, but I don't really know how else to say it. I would have a lot of people saying, oh, but Liza can turn on the black. And that always really made me uncomfortable. Oh, I remember in 7th grade, I decided I wanted braids in my hair. Braids were very popular. It was a 12-hour process to get my hair braided. I remember really liking it when it was done, and I remember going to school and really being made fun of. You know, braids are obviously very much associated with Black culture, and because people didn't really see me as Black, they were confused as to why I'd gotten braids put in my hair. That was really like hard and hurtful. I remember loving them, but I'm also very affected by what other people think, so I took them out really quickly. You're supposed to leave them in for like a couple months, and I took them out within a few weeks. I also get a lot of people still, people will come up to me and just start speaking Spanish because they think I'm Latino. I wish I could speak Spanish. I'm just bad at languages, and I really wish that I knew more Spanish and could speak Spanish. But I can't, so when people come up to me and start speaking Spanish, I always have to kind of go, oh, I'm sorry, I don't speak Spanish, and I always feel really bad. And one time, though, I was in the grocery store, and a man came up to me and started speaking Spanish, and I said, oh, I'm sorry, I don't speak Spanish, and he said, why? He got like really mad at me, and I didn't know what to say. I was like, because I'm Black and German? So I shot the first part of this video a couple of days ago, and I had to stop because I was feeling really anxious and nervous and a little bit overwhelmed. But I did want to come back and finish my thoughts. I tend not to watch the news on a regular basis because it's usually full of awful things that are happening in the world, and I have a really hard time processing that. But I do obviously get my news from other sources. A lot of the terrible things that are happening, especially when it comes to racial tension, is it's unavoidable. And I find myself going through stages when I hear about these kinds of things. I get really sad, and I get really angry and full of despair and like a hopelessness. And then I also, there's a lot of fear that's involved. I get really scared. And it always comes to this point for me where I think, am I allowed to feel this way? What I've been coming around to more and more is that it doesn't matter. A police officer killing someone for something that's not even an arrestable offense is not okay, regardless of what color their skin is. It doesn't matter. That's not okay, period. The abuse of power that is being demonstrated by a few individuals is disgusting and disgraceful, and it makes me angry, and it makes me sad, and it makes me a little bit afraid. And how I kind of deal with that, with all of that, is I try to look for positive things that are associated with those stories. I found a video of a police officer just kind of ranting about these other individuals in law enforcement and saying to them, just quit. It's really great. I posted it on my Tumblr if you want to see it. Bree Newsom climbing the flagpole and tearing down the Confederate flag is just like, ooh, it's just amazing. It's just an amazing moment. I try to look for those things, for people reacting in a positive way and reacting in a way that makes me feel like things are going to get better. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe. And I hope you're having an amazing day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.